Meeting comes at a time some American pundits are spewing ridiculous bile at America's commander-in-chief. I bring you what's being dubbed as the latte salute. I agree. This looks really bad. The president, as tradition requires, saluted two Marines after Marine One landed in New York with a cup of coffee in his hands. That's bad. But what followed was just dumb. Sarah Palin apologized for the president via Facebook. I can accept that. The dumb I'm talking about, the worst, came courtesy of Red State. Quote, this is on Red State, "This salute by Obama may serve as a useful metaphor for his entire administration. Sloppy, ill-thought-out, inappropriate, callous, selfish, and disrespectful. Though, in his defense, he may have been running from that thing covered in a red bag that seems to be pursuing him down the stairs." Now, if you notice in that picture, Michelle Obama was dressed in a red dress, so I assume that thing they're talking about is the First Lady of the United States. So let's talk about this with CNN political commentator and Republican consultant Margaret Hoover. Brian Stelter, too. He's our CNN senior media correspondent and host of Reliable Sources, and Democratic strategist and CNN political commentator Paul Begala joins us, too. Welcome to all of you.
Thank you.
Okay, so Brian, I want to start with you. This looked bad. And what's worse, the White House put it out.
That's right. It was on their Instagram account. I'm sure some low-level aide wishes they hadn't done it. I know for a fact they wish they hadn't posted it. But the derangement that we see from some of the conservative media coverage of this is really fascinating to me. There was a clip from Fox and Friends that I hope we can show of how they reacted this morning.
He said, "Let me put the coffee in this hand and salute a Marine." I think he's buttoning his jacket with one hand. He had a coffee, and he obviously wants to have it back. I don't think he intentionally did that. Do you?
Well, I think when you're not intending to do something, you could be intending to do something.
So if you're not intending, I can't tell what she was saying, but I just don't know where to begin with this one because, first of all, we don't even know if it was a latte. The president happens to drink tea. It just bothers me the way these things become memes before we can even get the truth to start.
But the truth is, this has been a meme long before President Obama became the president. There are memes, there is theater, there are narratives in American politics. And there are some times where Democrats have to try harder in some areas and Republicans have to try harder in other areas to counter those memes. It's a double standard, but you're fighting an uphill battle. What happens is, as a hangover of the legacy of the Vietnam era, Democrats have to try harder on national defense because fighting against this notion that they're weak on national defense, whether it's fair or unfair. Republicans have this too. We have to be super sensitive when it comes to racial issues, very sensitive when it comes to poverty issues. But what happened here is Bill Clinton, and we'll talk to Paul Begala because he'll tell us all about this, also got the exact same criticism that he didn't even know how to salute the Marines when he came out of the Marine One.
Okay, cue Paul Begala.
Cue Paul Begala.
Yeah, well, obviously we have to impeach him. I mean, Article 2, Section 4 of the Constitution is very clear. We impeach the president for bribery, treason, high crimes, misdemeanors, or a clumsy salute for getting you're holding a coffee cup. I mean, it's just silly. There is actually, President Clinton did, in fact, have to be taught how to salute because he'd been a civilian all his life, as had President Obama. Interestingly, Eisenhower, a five-star general, the highest-ranking military man ever to be president of the United States, did not salute when he was president because he was out of uniform. He did not believe that the president, while still commander-in-chief, should be saluting like a military officer. So it's actually kind of a weird thing. I think Margaret makes a point. Those of us who spent all of our lives in civilian life being protected and defended by the military have a special duty, I think, to be respectful. And I'm sure the president wants that back, and I hope they find whoever put that on the Instagram.
Yeah, but, you know, in this tit-for-tat culture, I'm just going to put up a picture because, you know, Democrats are going to be pointing to this picture of President Bush with Barney or... what was his other dog? It was Barney.
This was probably, well, I wish I could tell you. That was Barney because the other one was alive.
Okay, so we'll see the picture in a moment, I'm sure.
You're going to see.
There it is.
Of course he was
here's why
using the right
you're not
hand.
going to see that as much, though, because nobody is going to accuse a Republican president who took out Saddam Hussein, who overturned the Taliban, and who initiated the global war on terror as being weak on national. I don't know, but as being.
But you are right about narratives, Margaret.
But we're talking about narratives. We're not talking about facts,
Okay.
right? And so that's, you know, I
so it's incumbent on the media then to get above the narratives and not to play into the narratives the way I think we've seen some conservative outlets do in the last few hours.
Right.